Hi, I'm Commissioner Don Palmer with the U.S. Election Assistance Commission. Today, I'm joined by Indiana Secretary of State Diego Morales to talk about poll workers. Now, Secretary Morales was elected in 2022 after serving many years in both the private and public sectors, including the United States Army. Secretary of State Morales is the chief election official of the state of Indiana. So as part of his administrative duties, he is responsible for overseeing elections in the state of Indiana in which two counties won 2023 Clearinghouse Awards, and one county received a Help America Vote College Poll Worker Grant from the EAC earlier this year. Secretary Morales, thank you for joining us today. I'm excited to hear about the ways your office is improving the poll worker experience.
Well, thank you, Commissioner. It's an honor to be with you this morning. Greetings from the great state of Indiana. May I add, the best state in the union. So I'm here from the Secretary of State's office. It's good to be with you.
Great. It's good to talk to you again. We've been able to talk with each other a number of times. Secretary Morales, before we start about poll workers, tell me about your journey to become a naturalized U.S. citizen and the importance that you feel civic engagement is important in American elections.
You know, you just started with the right question. This question is very personal for me. Not only personal, this is, to me, everything. When I came to America from Guatemala, I was a senior in high school. I arrived in Indiana knowing zero English, with no friends, with nothing. Basically, I started from scratch. And one of the things that I brought with me, it was hope. Hope to achieve someday the American dream. So, I remember my first day at Silver Creek High School in Salisbury, Indiana, which, by the way, I always refer to the best small town in America, Salisbury, Indiana. I was the only Latino in my whole high school, the only one. But I felt welcome and embraced. And one of the advices that I got from my teachers was, Diego, you're here. Make sure go to college. Make sure be a productive citizen. And that's exactly what I did. I applied myself to learn the language, to adjust into the culture, to adapt into the American way of life. And yes, I wanted to go to college, but unfortunately I couldn't because I was not born with a silver spoon in my mouth. My parents were factory workers. I'm very proud to say that. But my parents instilled on me hard work, that I'm able to go to college if I was willing to do that, if I was willing to work hard. So that's exactly what I did. So I took on several jobs while continue to learn the language, while continue to adjust into the culture. And I was going to college, paying my way to college. So it was actually one of the hardest things I can tell you what I have done, because coming here with nothing. And then, after high school, going to college, that's, if you ask me, it actually helped me to be more confident, helped me that I know I can achieve anything if I want to. So I'm glad I did it on my own way. If I may, I did the hard way, paying for those, college classes. And many times I went actually many days that I could not even afford to pay for a $1 sandwich, because I was trying to save every single penny to pay for the next semester in college. So tough times, but I'm glad I did it that way, because I appreciate better my education. And then, of course, one of the things that why I'm so passionate about civic engagement, because I learned from my early beginnings in college. I was a member of the student government, actually, and I got involved into all of this. And I saw when people were trying to encourage others to vote. And after college, I went to join the United States Army, and I was actually stationed in Fort Benning, Georgia, to become an infantryman. And I believe that's where my journey for Secretary of State started, because I was asked if I was registered to vote. And I said, No, I'm not. So my drill sergeant said, well, why not? I said, well, because I'm not a US citizen yet. I cannot vote. And he said, well, why are you here then? When I know many Americans that they were born and raised here and they will never join the military. I said, well, that's not up to me to answer, but I said, I am a grateful American. I am a grateful Hoosier. And I just want to be willing to give back, willing to show my gratitude to the American people and to my state of Indiana. And that's what I'm here, willing to put my life on the line. So when I came back to Indiana, I joined the Indiana National Guard. And then I reached out to, I remember when, to the Bartholomew County Clerk's office. I remember her name, Tammy Hines, my good friend Tammy Hines, the former county clerk. And I went to her office and I said, Tammy, can you show me what do you do every day as a county clerks? Can you share with me voter registration? Can you share with me your duties as county clerks? And then Tammy was so gracious, said, yeah, what do you want to know this? Do you want to run for county clerk or what? I said, no, I just want to know the election process because someday I'm gonna get to vote. Unfortunately, I cannot vote right now, but someday I will. So Tammy was very good to me. And then I reached out to so many other county clerks across the state, learning their duties as county clerks. And then I became a poll worker myself. And then I became all of this, obviously trying to figure out how to learn the election process in Indiana. So when I became a naturalized citizen, I had to go through the process, Commissioner. First of all, I paid thousands of dollars to pay for those applications. And then I took a physical test to make sure that I was good to go, right? Even though I already served in the United States military. In fact, I asked, can I use those medical records? They said, no, you cannot. You have to go through this process. Number 3, we have to take a civic test, hundreds of questions. And I can tell you, if I ask folks outside of my office right now, some of those questions, I can tell you, so many of them, they will not be able to answer those questions. So we study and I memorized these hundreds of questions to become a naturalized citizen. But all of that, that's okay. That was not a big deal for me because my goal was to do it the right way, respecting the rule of law, respecting our Constitution. So I waited years, many years to become a naturalized citizen. So when I became a naturalized citizen on that day, Commissioner Palmer, after I raised my right hand to protect our US Constitution against foreign and domestic enemies, which I done it already when I served in the military.
Yeah.
But then I did as a naturalized citizen. That day was one of the best days of my life because I said, now I'm an American. In fact, I tell people that I was born to be an American. That day, I went to register to vote. And since that day, I have not missed one election, primary or general election, because the right to vote for me and my family, we take this seriously. We take this personal. For us, the right to vote, it's an honor. It's a privilege. So that's why we take this very seriously. And that is why this led me to be the Secretary of State, because I've been preparing myself. I became a poll worker, and that's why we're going to talk about that. And that's what I'm passionate about, recruiting poll workers. But becoming a naturalized citizen to me, going through the process, which it took me many, many years, it was important because it prepared me for now, because now as we make our elections safe and secure, as we clean the border rolls, there is a lot of talk about only US citizens to vote in our elections, which I agree with that. I went through the process, so I want only US citizens to be part of our election process. So becoming a naturalized citizen, it's something that I went through. I waited many years, but worthwhile, because now I'm proud to call myself a proud Hoosier and a proud American and a proud Secretary of State of Indiana.
So, Mr. Secretary, you mentioned that you had served as a poll worker and you were young, and that, in high school and college that you've encouraged folks to participate. Can you tell us about the Hoosier Hall Pass poll worker recruitment program? I understand that it involves the youth of Indiana and getting them more involved. Talk to us about that program and how it engages young Hoosiers.
Yes. So first of all, we have the best poll workers here in Indiana, and I'm grateful to every single poll worker. You know, they have the experience. May I say they are a little seasoned, you know? So it is time for us to recruit the next generation of Hoosiers to become poll workers. So with our Hoosier Hall Pass program, I've been going to schools all over the 92 counties of Indiana. In fact, I crisscrossed all 92 counties of Indiana within 3 months this year. I broke my own record. No statewide office holder has done this. So what I've been doing, not only visiting county clerks, giving them the tools and resources they need, but also I went to different schools. And when I went to these schools, I talked to juniors and seniors, and we targeted the 16 and 17 years old. So when I went to these schools, I asked people, can you raise your hand? I said, how many of you are registered to vote? Because some of them are 18 and are able already registered to vote. And then maybe 1 or 2, yes, I just turned 18. I just registered to vote. Or I just turned 18. I have not. I said, well, I'm here to help you register to vote. And then how many of you are 16 and 17? People raise their hand and like, would you like to become a poll worker? And then people, these kids, they really don't say much. And then I make it a little more exciting, right? You see, I have the passion, the drive. And I ask them, how many of you would like to get out of school on election day? Everybody, me, where do I sign? How many of you would like to get some free food? Me. How many of you would like to get a little pay? Like me, where do I sign? So that's how we're trying to get these 16, 17 years old to become poll workers. So the way it works, we pair them up with a seasoned poll worker, and then we pay them a little money, $100, give and take. We feed them that day. And most importantly, they get the experience to work the polls on election day. And I tell them, this is your civic duty. You may like it and you may continue to be a poll worker. But in case if you will not like it, at least you can say, I have done my civic duty. I've been a poll worker at least once. But the goal is to recruit and retain poll workers. And we need to start doing this at an early age with these 16 and 17 years old. And the incentives, again, is, we take them out of school on election day. We pay them a little money. We give them food. And then they can have a good day. They can learn about the election process. So we're being able to do that, and we're going to continue to do that. So we are going to continue to visit several schools and high schools to encourage the next generation of poll workers to be involved. And hopefully we can do that. Specifically, we're doing that now this year because we're expecting a big election this year, Commissioner.
Yeah, I think that getting the youth involved, so they're not intimidated with the process, and that they're confident that they can participate as a poll worker, and sort of that lays the future for them participating. One thing I noted is that you have all of your poll working materials posted online for citizens to see. And so what was your thinking on that? And has that helped increase confidence and transparency of the voting process to have all those materials online for everyone to see?
Well, first of all, here in Indiana, I cannot speak on the other states. Statewide, we need around 20,000 poll workers to administer safe and secure elections in all 92 counties. So we need a lot of poll workers, but also this helps promote civic engagement. Anything we can do to promote transparency and confidence in our election process, because we know that this will help increase voter turnout when people are confident in our elections. So I want you to know that when voters show up, they know that they are confident in our elections, and they most likely become poll workers. In fact, I tell them, if you want to be part of, if you're not sure, become a poll worker. And then you will see the great work that many many people do, because it's a lot of work. You know, poll workers, they get there, or first of all, they get trainings, you know, days before. And then they're early, like 5 a.m. before, because the polls open here in Indiana at 6 a.m. We open the polls from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So they're there way before 6 a.m. And then obviously after 6 p.m. So it's a long day, but it's worthwhile because, you know, this is their civic engagement, our civic engagement. This is our way to give back to our country. So I just want you to know we're really focusing on this. Everything is on our website because we want to make it as transparent as possible.
So that you mentioned that there's a drive nationwide to recruit younger poll workers, and you mentioned the next generation. So how important is it for you to sort of push that to get the next generation involved in the election process? It seems to be important to you.
Well, it is. You know, we're running PSAs, which we get into that as well, all over statewide. Not only we've been going to schools, but also I've been going to universities. But one of the other things that we've been doing is, one of my goals is to increase voter turnout and voter participation. But at the same time, we are trying to encourage those poll workers to sign up and be a poll worker. So we've been going, my team and I, we have blanketed the state of Indiana with our voter outreach efforts. You know, we've been going to farm markets. We've been going to local county fairs, sporting events. We've been doing all kinds of stuff, trying to tell others not only to register to vote, but also to become a poll worker. Just yesterday, Sunday, I was doing the Elkhart County Fair Parade, one of the longest parades on a Sunday. You know, I was there from the car. I was encouraging everyone, are you registered to vote? If not, go to indianavoters.com. It takes less than 2 minutes to register to vote. And if someone says, yes, I'm already registered, I say, would you consider become a poll worker? I mean, from the car, I'm like yelling, shouting from folks, asking them to register to vote or to become a poll worker. This past Saturday, I was doing that all over the state. My team and I, we were all over the state. I was in Putnam County, and my team were in Warren County and Wabash County. On Friday, I was in Johnson County, again, encouraging folks not only to register to vote, but also to become poll workers. So we are going to continue to do this. And I'm excited about this, Commissioner Palmer, because we are the proud sponsors of the Great Indiana State Fair. We did this last year, and this year we're going to do it again. And we will set up shop at our Great Indiana State Fair. And right there, when fairgoers will arrive, we're going to catch them. We're going to have those iPads ready to register them to vote or to update their voter registration or to recruit them to become poll workers. This is actually one of the most exciting times of the year for me because I love our state fair. And I'm going to spend as much time there. In fact, last year I was there every day, and I intend to be there as well this year every day. And we're sponsoring the $2 Tuesdays at the state fair. So we're going to be there every day, but every Tuesdays we're going to focus on voter registration, you know, out there at the state fair. So all these efforts, I'm a grassroots guy, and we've been doing this statewide, and we're going to continue to do this. Again, encouraging folks to register to vote. May I say encouraging eligible Hoosiers to register to vote, and then we're going to recruit poll workers because we need these poll workers. You know, we've been going, you know, when I go to all over the state, I always ask, who's the longest poll worker? And we try to recognize them, to thank them, because as I said, we cannot run our elections without our poll workers, and I'm grateful to every single one of them.
Well, those are some great opportunities at the fair, and I did notice that you went to the Indianapolis 500, and it was probably at least 500,000 people there that got the message to get registered to vote and to be a poll worker. So as you know, and you're aware, obviously, that poll workers come from both political parties. Now, how do you encourage them in your own political party to get involved and to encourage them to participate in what is essentially a bipartisan endeavor in a nonpartisan way? How do you talk to them, and how do you encourage them to serve as poll workers in your party?
Thank you for that. I wanted to go back real quick to what you said about the Indy 500. So last year when I came into the office, so my first year, I started building those strategic relationships. And one of them was with the IMS, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, to make sure that we can be part of this. So I'm glad that we partnered and they allowed us to be at the Indy 500 this year. In fact, many of my teams arrived there at 3 a.m. to set up shop, because many of these obviously race folks going to the track, they were arriving early. So we need to catch them as they arrive very early, and we did good. And I'm grateful that we've been building these strategic partnerships with the Indy 500, with the 500 Festival during one of the biggest parades. We set up shop too in downtown Indy. We've been setting up with sporting events like the Indians. When people were arriving to watch the baseball game, we have our tents there ready to register them to vote. In fact, we did last year, we're gonna do it this year. In fact, last year, they even allowed me to throw the first pitch. So I did good, by the way. We were outside the Colts games, at their tailgates to register folks. So we're being very creative, very proactive. As you know, I'm hands-on approach. Me and my team, by the way, it's not just my team, me along with my team, we're going out there and do this together. So, but to your point, elections is not a Democrat issue or a Republican issue. Elections impacts us all, Commissioner Palmer. So both parties means that they have to be part of this. So also there can be a checks and balances, if you will. And I can tell you, on election day, on primary election day or general election day last year, in this primary of this 2024, I went to visit many polling locations, and not only that, many centers as well. And I always see both parties there, Democrats and Republicans, and I thank them both. And I said, thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of the election process, because we need both parties to be involved. And I always encourage them, look, our elections is not about being a Democrat or being a Republican. I said, this affects us all, impacts us all. So thank you for being here. And I can tell you, here in Indiana, I've been seeing both parties working together, because at the end of the day, it's all about our elections. It's not even about anybody else. It's about making sure that every eligible Hoosier is part of the election. So I'm happy to tell you that we're going to continue to recruit and get volunteers from both sides to be part of the election process. When I go to the schools, the first thing that I ask the students is, I'm here to help you register to vote. My job is not to tell you who to vote for. That's not my job. I said, my job is to get you registered to vote. I said, you do your own research and then vote. My job is to get you to register to vote and then encourage you to go and vote. But I said, I'm not here to tell you who to vote for. That's not my job.
That's right. Some of your county election officials have won awards regarding poll workers and clearinghouse awards from the EAC. What are some of the ways that your county administrators have used to encourage people to serve as a poll worker? Things that have stood out in your mind from the counties requesting a poll worker.
One of the things that we did, as you know, we distributed more than $2 million on HAVA grant money. And going back to me, I like to be out there visiting with the county clerks. So I went out there, and a lot of this money that we awarded to many of these county clerks, they use it for poll worker recruitment. They use it for poll worker training. And I was so happy to see that, actually. And I encouraged them, as many county clerks, use this money for poll worker recruitment, use this money for poll worker training, or at the very least, use this money for signage, like vote, come and vote. So there are so many ways. And I'm happy to tell you that we spend a lot of time on the road, delivering these checks to every county clerk. and many of them actually use this money for poll worker recruitment and retention. But at the same time, we have made partnerships with the Indiana Broadcasters Association. In fact, currently we are airing, PSAs recruiting poll workers. That's what we're doing. So now radio and TV here in Indiana, we're making a big push on recruiting poll workers and making sure that they can be part of the election process. But at the same time,
Mr. Secretary, are you, so you're filming this public service announcements to recruit poll workers for the, wow, that's significant. And it'll be aired across the state of Indiana.
That's right. That's
wow,
right.
That's a big deal.
It's undergoing, actually. It's currently on air right now.
Oh, wow. We'd love to see those. Yes.
And then the other thing that we're doing as well, we have reached out to the Supreme Court here in Indiana. Wow. We asked them, I said, can we get the attorneys across the state? So many of these attorneys can become poll workers. Again, there are attorneys from both sides of the aisle here, right? The Democrats and Republicans. So they can become poll workers. And if they do that, if they can become a poll workers, they can get their CLA credits. Because, remember, attorneys, they get their credits, CLA credits. So we say if they can become poll workers, they can use that to get their CLA credits. As a veteran myself, so we're reaching out as well to veteran organizations so we can get our veterans be engaged and become poll workers. And as you know, our veterans are very disciplined. They pay attention to detail. And, we want to get our veteran community to be engaged and become poll workers as well. Those are the type of things that we're doing. When it comes to legislation, Commissioner Palmer, this is what we have done as well. My office, the Indiana Secretary of State's office, worked very close with the Clerks Association of Indiana in passing Senate Bill 170, which will give legal protection to our poll workers and that peace of mind for poll workers. Because, our poll workers, they're volunteers. They want to do their civic duty. Yes, they get a little pay. Yes, they get some food, right? But also they need some legal protection. We need to protect them at the polls on election day. So we passed legislation here in Indiana, Senate Bill 170, to give legal protection to our poll workers.
So, Mr. Secretary, this was amazing to talk to you about all the things you're doing to recruit poll workers. It's so important. Thank you for taking your time with us today.
Commissioner Palmer, if I may give another plug here before we wrap things up. Tuesday, August 1st is National Poll Worker Recruitment Day. And this will be another opportunity, not only for us here in Indiana, but also nationwide, to make sure that we can recruit poll workers. So remember that August 1st, it will be National Poll Worker Recruitment Day, and we need to make this a big push. We need to make this a big deal so we can recruit more poll workers. So we're gonna do this here in the great Hoosier State. Again, Diego Morales, Indiana Secretary of State here, the first Latino Secretary of State in the history of Indiana, and currently the only legal immigrant Secretary of State in all United States. I'm gonna continue to recruit poll workers, and I'm gonna continue to increase voter turnout by blanketing the whole state to make sure that every eligible Hoosier will be able to register to vote. So appreciate the opportunity, Commissioner Palmer. Keep up the good work. Indiana is always open to you and your team. We're here to serve.
Thank you so much. Poll workers are essential to ensure elections are a success. So the EA encourages all those interested in becoming poll workers to learn more by visiting helpamerica.gov. Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you.